The Otter Brothers by the Riverside. Chapter 1: An Adventure by the River. The Otter brothers, Ken and Taro, always play by the riverside. Their home is on the riverbank, and they spend every day enjoying their time near the water. One day, they noticed a place across the river they had never explored before. Ken said, "Let's explore that other side today," and Taro replied, "Sounds great. I can't wait to see what's there." The brothers quickly prepared and decided to swim across the river. The current was gentle, making it easy for the otters, who were excellent swimmers. Once they crossed, they began to walk excitedly through the new land. This place, with its lush grass and trees, seemed like another world. The chirping birds and the sound of the wind made them feel elated. After walking for a while, Taro pointed and said, "Ken, look. There's something interesting over there." Ken squinted and saw a small pond surrounded by colorful flowers. "Wow, I never knew such a beautiful place existed," Ken said, moved by the sight. The brothers decided to rest near the pond, drinking water and enjoying the scenery. Suddenly, Taro said, "There might be other interesting things around here." Ken agreed, "Yes, let's keep exploring." They resumed their adventure with renewed enthusiasm. As they ventured further, they found a hole at the base of a large tree. Ken suggested, "Taro, there might be something inside this hole." Taro, curious, agreed, "Let's take a look." They carefully peeked inside but found nothing. "Maybe something comes out at night," Ken speculated. Taro responded, "You might be right, but we should head back before it gets dark." They left the hole and started back the way they came. Collecting beautiful stones and leaves they found along the way, they returned to the riverside just as the sun was setting. Today was really fun. "Let's go exploring again," Ken said. Taro replied, "Yeah, next time let's go even further." Thus, the brothers' day was filled with adventure and discovery. Chapter 2: A New Friend. The next day, Ken and Taro decided to continue their exploration. The previous day's adventure had been so enjoyable that they wanted to find more new discoveries. They crossed the river, passed the pond they found yesterday, and ventured further. Suddenly, they heard a small voice. "Help!" The voice came from within the grass. Surprised, Ken and Taro rushed towards the sound. They found a little rabbit crying. "What's wrong?" Ken gently asked. The rabbit child replied, "I can't find my way home," crying. Taro reassured, "Don't worry, we'll help you find your way." Ken added, "Yes, we'll stay with you until we find your home." The rabbit child, Mimi, was grateful for their kindness and said, "Thank you, please help me." Ken and Taro, with Mimi, began to search for her home. Mimi tried to remember the scenery she had seen, guiding them, but the forest looked similar everywhere, and they got lost. Mimi, anxious, said, "I've never been this deep into the forest." Ken comforted her, "It's okay, we'll definitely find it." After a while, they found a small tunnel at the base of a large tree. Taro said, "If we go through here, it might be a shortcut." Mimi recognized the tunnel, saying, I think I've seen this before. They went through the tunnel but encountered a large bear at the exit. The bear seemed angry, and the brothers and Mimi quickly thought about how to escape. Ken whispered, "Let's back away quietly." But the bear noticed them and approached. Taro shouted, "Leave it to us, Mimi, run." Though Mimi was scared, she moved, inspired by Ken and Taro's courage. Ken and Taro distracted the bear, giving Mimi time to escape. Ken threw a fruit at the bear, while Taro circled around to pull Mimi to safety. As the bear was focused on Ken, Taro quickly led Mimi to a safe place. Mimi, with tears of gratitude, said, "Thank you, Ken, Taro." Ken replied, "It's all right, we're just glad you're safe." Taro added, "I'm glad we met again. Let's stay friends." They resumed their search for Mimi's home with a stronger bond. Chapter 3: Dangers in the Forest. As they continued through the forest, Ken, Taro, and Mimi kept a close watch around them. After the bear encounter, everyone was a bit tense. Mimi expressed her desire to go home quickly, but Ken and Taro reassured her, "Don't worry, we'll find it soon." After walking for a while, Mimi suddenly shouted, "Look! That might be my house." They ran towards it, only to find a large beehive hanging there instead. "This is dangerous, we should stay away," Ken warned. However, Mimi, in her excitement, got too close, causing the bees to swarm out. The three of them ran, but the bees were persistent. Ken shouted, "Let's head to the river. If we get in the water, the bees won't follow us." They ran with all their might towards the river. Jumping into the river, the bees stopped following, and they finally caught their breath. "That was really close," Taro said, relieved. Mimi apologized, "I'm sorry, I was careless." Ken reassured her, "It's all right, we're all safe, and that's what matters." Continuing cautiously through the forest, Mimi then recognized a tree. "I've seen that tree before," she exclaimed. Following the path under the tree, they eventually found Mimi's home. "We did it! We found it!" Mimi rejoiced. Mimi's family, overjoyed to see her, thanked Ken and Taro profusely. "Thank you, because of you, Mimi is back safely," said Mimi's mother. The brothers, bashful, replied, "It was nothing, it's natural to help a friend." Reunited with her family, Mimi was safe, and Ken and Taro returned to the riverside. Through this adventure, they made a new friend and learned the importance of cooperation. Mimi's family promised to continue their new friendship and keep in touch. Chapter 4: Joining Forces with Friends. One day, while Ken and Taro were playing by the river, the sky suddenly darkened, and a heavy rain began to fall. They quickly moved away from the river and took shelter under a nearby tree. "Is this rain going to be okay?" Taro asked worriedly. Ken replied, "It's been a while since we've had such heavy rain." The rain kept getting stronger, and the river level began to rise. Ken said, "The river might overflow at this rate." Taro added, "If that happens, everyone's homes will be in danger." They decided to warn the village. Back in the village, everyone had already noticed the heavy rain. Ken and Taro called out, "The river is about to overflow. Let's come up with a plan together." The adults agreed, "This is serious, let's prepare right away." They decided to build a barrier to prevent the river from flooding. The children helped the adults. Ken and Taro, determined, said, "We'll do our best," and carried sandbags with the other children. Mimi also joined, saying, "I'll help too." Everyone worked together. The animals also helped. Squirrels gathered branches to make rain shelters, and rabbits compacted the ground to prevent water from seeping in. Thanks to everyone's cooperation, the barrier grew higher and higher. When the rain finally stopped, the river had not overflowed, and the village was safe. Ken exclaimed, "Thanks to everyone, the village was saved." The villagers were grateful, saying, "Thank you all." That night, Ken and Taro visited the guardian flower. "Today was tough, but we managed to protect the village by working together," they reported. The guardian smiled and said, "That's wonderful. Your unity has made the village stronger and more prosperous." Encouraged by the guardian's words, Ken and Taro resolved to continue protecting the village with their friends. Thus, the village was safeguarded by the power of cooperation and unity. Chapter 5: The Beginning of New Days. The next day, Ken and Taro made a new discovery by the river. After the rain, many new plants had sprouted by the riverside. "New life is emerging," Ken said happily. "Let's take good care of the riverside and make it a place where even more creatures can live," Taro added. The brothers visited the riverside every day to care for the plants. The riverside became increasingly lush, and the villagers enjoyed its beauty. One day, an elderly villager said to Ken and Taro, "This riverside is the village's treasure. Thanks to everyone, it's become such a wonderful place." Ken, bashful, replied, "It's because of everyone's efforts. Let's continue to cherish the riverside." Taro added with a smile, "Yes, let's keep making new discoveries." Thus began Ken and Taro's new days. The riverside became a symbol of happiness for the villagers and was cherished forever. The brothers' adventure never ends. Every day is filled with new discoveries and learning. Their friendship and cooperation will continue to enrich the riverside. The end.